Childers.
Aye.
Sorry. Morales. Owen. Here. Sullivan. Bessler. Here. McGrath.
Here.
Okay, first item on the agenda is May's 207 Best for Academic Achievement. We're going to start with Maine West. Audrey, please.
I am pleased to introduce to you Lizzie Schaefer. This is Elizabeth. Lizzie is our candidate for 207's Best in the area of academic excellence, and she is absolutely excellent in this area. 4.8 GPA, taking everything accelerated is all the way back from her freshman year all the way up to this year, including this year classes like Symphonic Orchestra, AP US Government and Politics, AP English Lit and Composition, Multivariable Calculus, AP Physics, and AP Chemistry. So across the board, this young lady has been excelling again since that freshman year. She's involved in school clubs and activities, and I would say that she's also accelerated in this area as well. She's been a reporter for the Westerner. She's on the Spanish National Honor Society, the Maine West National Honor Society. She's a reporter, like I said, for the Westerner. She's been on Scholastic Bowl, and she's an accomplished viola player, so she's also a musician. Her AP English 3 teacher from last year had this to say about her. She says, "I found Lizzie a delight to have in English last year. A conscientious, thoughtful writer, Lizzie remains committed to crafting each sentence carefully to articulate her desired effect. She demonstrates a willingness to revisit her work and reread a text to gain greater insight, hallmarks of a mature learner and strong thinker, and she is always open to feedback. Lizzie also offers an ever-present positive attitude and congeniality toward her peers. Driven to succeed, she never displays any arrogance or competition. Rather, she is a kind partner and a willing teacher." And I have seen firsthand Lizzie's experiences as a reporter from the Westerner. She would come in for a story that she was writing to interview me, and she would have her questions all outlined perfectly, and she would write down every single word to make sure that she got it captured perfectly. But then her writing would just flow beautifully. It wasn't just, here's a question, here's the answer, here's a question. She was able to craft that into a beautiful piece of work, and always captured the essence of what I was saying in a much more beautiful way than I had said it. So I loved it, I loved it. And Miss Valdez, getting the music aspect here, says, "Miss Lizzie Schaefer is a very quiet but extremely attentive student in orchestra. She's been a dedicated member of the viola section of the Maine West String and Symphonic Orchestra since she was a freshman, as well as a member of the Warrior Strings. She's always prepared for class, responsible, and has shown great leadership as section leader of the viola section. Lizzie's a very quiet student, but she has grown since her freshman year into a very determined and charismatic leader. So we're very proud of her, and we're happy to recommend her as 207 Best for academic excellence." So Stacey, Lizzie, tell us who you brought with you tonight, and then tell us what your plans are for the future.
So this is my mom, Joanne Schaefer, my brother Josh, my sister Anna, my sister Mary, and my father Thomas Schaefer. And for the future, I'm planning on going into biomedical engineering. Hopefully I'll apply to U of I and other schools like that. So.
Awesome. Congrats, Lizzie.
Next up, Maine East.
Hi, everybody. I am pleased to introduce to you Maine East's 207's Best in Academic Excellence, Mr. Michael Sherman. Well, like probably all 3 students that we're going to hear about tonight, Michael has taken just about everything AP that you can take, and has been in accelerated courses for just about everything that can be taken for an accelerated manner all 4 years. He has a weighted GPA of 4.9143, so he is right up there in terms of achievement in his class. He's a member of the Gifted Lyceum program, and he's also quite active in the life of Maine East. He's a member of the Maine Historical Society, Mu Alpha Theta, which is a math honor society, the Demonocracy Politics Club, National Spanish Honor Society, Scholastic Bowl. He's an NHS officer, and he's been a delegate to Model UN for the past 3 years. On the Spanish national exam, he earned silver rank in freshman and sophomore years and gold rank in his junior year. He's won various math team awards at the state level, including the Algebra 2 team, Geometry team, and the Frosh-Soft Relay, in addition to a number of local awards. He's also been a recipient of the Outstanding History Scholar Award, and he's only the second freshman in over 80 years to win the school's U.S. Constitution contest, the first being the one and only Mr. Paul Carlson. So, fills some big shoes there. But there's more. Michael is a chess player. He's won a number of tournaments. He's been a summer tutor for ELL students, and I'll tell you a little bit about that in a second. But he also has a second-degree black belt in Taekwondo. He's been practicing that sport since the age of 6. He's actually taught Taekwondo, and learned a little bit as I get a chance to kind of read through materials that I get in his counselor as they're preparing letters of recommendation. And one of the things that he had indicated there, the teaching experiences have really helped him learn patience. So it's hard to teach little kids. Learn to be creative with the methods that I employ to teach different kids. Also learn to appreciate small victories in real life. These small victories keep me going. It's interesting, again, like many of our students at Maine East, his family comes from somewhere else, in this case the Soviet Union, and I think they've shared a lot with him, and it is my understanding that he is very thankful and grateful to be growing up in the United States with many of the opportunities we get here. And he really kind of used a quotation, just realizing that the sky is the limit. Shniz Salomon, one of our teachers, teaches AP Economics. But there's so many dimensions to Michael Sherman that it's difficult to capture them all into words. Michael's mature beyond his years and funnier than any high school student has the right to be. As an officer in Maine Historical Society, Michael's working when most have gone home after a long day. As a student in AP Economics, he's like a laser beam, asking questions that others are unwilling to ask, or challenging his teacher when others are too shy. Michael expects a lot from himself, and he does not settle for anything but quality. Simply put, he's an exceptional student in every way. We have many students who are super talented here at Maine East, and I see Michael Sherman at the very front of this pack of seniors. On a personal level, I've had the opportunity to kind of observe Michael over the last 4 years, and he's a little reserved, but I've seen him over a period of time, particularly in the last couple of years, still kind of quiet about the way he goes about things, but very comfortable with his peers, very much respected by his peers, who appreciate his generosity in terms of helping them academically, or just the way he contributes, whether that's a Lyceum project or where he may be in class. I really think that he's got a work ethic and this unwavering belief in the ability to work hard to achieve personal dreams. It's really kind of a current day understanding of kind of the American dream. He dreams big, he works hard, and he knows that he's going to do well if he works hard. So I think in this, he certainly honors himself, his family, and all of us. We're very proud of him. Congratulations. We have a few fans in the audience tonight.
So, yes, my family's here. My mom, my dad, and my grandfather. And then basically the whole back row. Mr. Brownell is the chair of the social science department at Maine East. Mr. Peters taught me AP US history last year. Ms. Sullivan, who we've heard before, she's my AP Econ teacher. Ms. Stewart, who taught me computer programming sophomore year. My memory's going. And she helps out with National On-Site Education Learning. And
Mr. Warczyk.
Mr. Warczyk, who is the new head of SBS.
SBS.
Now, can you tell us what you plan to do next year?
Oh, so I plan on majoring in probably econ and math, and I want to get into leadership content.
Awesome.
All right, last but not least, Maine South, Sean.
Our 207 Best at Maine South is Lydia Zusha. Like our other students, don't get to this place without taking as many accelerated and AP classes as you possibly can. Lydia's been able to earn a GPA of 4.59, and I put a little asterisk next to that because she's taken every single one of her electives for a grade. She's taken nothing pass fail. So that's a pretty significant achievement at Maine South. And she's maintained that high GPA all the time, being the while earning a spot as the first chair violinist in our orchestra. She's a very talented violinist as well. She's actively involved beyond the classroom. She's the secretary of our engineering club, has won numerous medals in the Science Olympiad. She has been published in our literary magazine Equinox. Last year, something that we haven't participated in, but Lydia won a Best in Category for her aerospace science project at the IJAS Science Fair. Something also to be proud of, and took a bronze medal in the Midwest Chinese Speech Contest. One of the quotes that Lydia actually put in her senior resume that I was reading, I think says a lot about her, because I'm going to talk next about engineering. She's already traveled quite a bit in her life, and she wrote of loving to travel because of the anticipation of discovery. She noted there are so many different cultures and ways of life out there, and the only way to truly know them is to live them. And I say that before I talk about the next section because she spends a lot of her time being successful in a realm that is usually dominated by young men. But she's very successful with our math and engineering curriculum. In fact, when I asked her what teacher should I speak with about some of the things you've accomplished, they were all in our CTE department. And all of them noted she was one of the few female students, and she was just a delight to have and just incredible with her ability to work through problems and solve problems. Her counselor noted, never ceases to awe and pleasantly surprise me. She's self-aware, kind, humorous, trustworthy, patient, and a true intellectual. Her academic ability and growth over the last 4 years shows the astounding potential she has at the collegiate professional level in the realm of science and engineering. Mr. Tomaszewicz noted that Lydia was in his introduction to engineering class as a freshman. She immediately stood out with her sharp focus, intelligence, and genuine interest in the class and material we were covering. Lydia was a natural at problem solving and critical thinking beyond her age. Most of her projects were some of the best projects in all of my classes. I would use many of her projects and assignments to show other students as examples of the proper way to complete an activity or an assignment. Lydia was always very polite and mature, especially for her age, and I really enjoyed having her in class. She added to the overall classroom learning environment in a very positive way. But the project I remember most and will never forget is the electric car that Lydia designed. With great imagination and creativity, she designed a fully functioning electric car that looked just like a mouse with wheels. It was an excellent piece of design and engineering work, one of the best electric car projects any of my students ever have created. I see a very bright and creative future for Lydia, and I'm very glad I was able to have her in one of my classes. And that's the sentiment that you get every time you speak to one of her teachers, is that she's one of those students who just stands out, that you remember, and you just feel so lucky to have had in class. So with that, I give you Lydia Zuschau, our best from Maine South. Lydia, who is with you tonight, and what are your plans for the future?
All right, this is my dad and this is my mom. And I really like robotics, so I was planning to, go to college and probably get a degree in like mechanical engineering or electrical engineering, since the two fields are pretty highly involved in robotics. And then in the future, I wanted to become a design engineer who designs the different prototypes of robots to fix problems.
There you go.
If the students and their principals would like to step out to the hall, Mr. Berry, I'd like be out there to take your picture. It's also your chance to make an exit from the meeting, although you're welcome to stay for the business section. So next up is communications. Do we have any public comments? Not seeing anything, okay. Update from the superintendent, please.
Just nothing.
Okay,
Moving on.
okay, updates from board members. We can move along to the next item, which is the Employee Relations Committee report.
The Employee Relations Committee met, and we're going to be meeting again very soon with updated materials. Greg's really been quite personally getting me and our team up to speed to meeting attention.
Okay, so you're just starting the review of the academic
Yes.
points of the
Yeah, the
What's this?
appraisal point system.
appraisal point system, okay. All right, Finance Committee. Sean is not here. Barry, can you
I'll
tell us?
take it. The Finance Committee met on September 25th. McGladrey was there to present the audit and go through it. We have this year the honor of being the first school district completed for McGladrey out of any other school district, so our stuff is in, done, and complete. We received the highest opinion, which is an unmodified opinion, previously called unqualified. We ran a surplus. We had no audit adjustments, no audit findings, no material weaknesses, so it was a pretty clean bill of financial health for us.
And a testament to the really good work that Mary does and
Absolutely.
the folks in her office.
Absolutely.
We take it for granted because that's the report that we typically get every year, but we should not take it for granted.
One question, Mary. Was there a recommendation from the Finance Committee?
There was a recommendation, and you'll see acceptance on the audit for both 207 and NSERV on the board agenda this evening.
Okay, thank you very much. Last committee meeting, Building and Grounds, Pavel?
Building and Grounds met on September 22nd, and Art and Associates presented the discussion around increased budget of $254,000 over budget. We had a lively discussion around how that occurred and what we're going to do to make sure that we stay within that, and the recommendation was to proceed.
All right, thank you. Next up is the monthly status of finances. Mary?
In your board packet is the August financial statements. On the revenue side, August represents just under 17% of the year completed, but we're in the, 30%-ish of revenue received, primarily due to property tax collections in the month of August. On the expenditure side, we are less than that because the majority of our salaries, teacher salaries, start on September 15th, so they're a little bit lagging. Some of the funds where we do capital projects out, you can see are above that 17%, as they should be, since summer is the construction season. I will entertain any questions that anybody has on the August financial statements.
Any questions? Hearing none, move on to instructional services.
Yes, I'm going to take all four of these reports and give you some takeaway thoughts and then entertain the questions you might have. And first, I want to offer my thanks to Don Marzuk, who's here with me this evening, for all the work that he puts into these reports, and for Dan Bacher's assistance to help him to display these visually for you. The way I look at these reports as a group is that they sort of answer three questions: who we are, what are one or two indicators of how we are doing, and what are we doing about that. So let's start with the first one, who we are. We've looked at the demographic summary report. You see some very familiar statistics that seem to be continuing along a similar trajectory. As a district, we are declining a little bit in enrollment. We are increasing in our pre-reduced lunch or low income percentages, increasing in the numbers of families for whom English is not the primary language at home or first language at home, and, or let me restate that, for whom there is another language at home being spoken. And also our mobility rate tends to be increasing a little bit at a couple of our schools. So this kind of picture does present some of the challenges that we have and that sometimes may show up in some of the indicators that we look at. So, given all of that context though, if you look at our ACT report, which is for the class of 2014, that's the class that graduated last May, you're going to see pretty much we're able to either maintain, for the most part, some of our achievement scores there on the ACT test, or in some cases starting to slowly close some of the gaps. And they've been noted in the report where those have occurred. The ACT test will be around this next year, and it is part of our EPAS family of tests that we use to look at data. But after this next year, it may not be one of the indicators we look at because we'll be shifting probably to PARC. I say probably because there's still some questions up in the air, but that seems to be the direction the state is taking us in. So we'll probably be looking at this for one more year, and then after that maybe for pockets of students. The other indicator that you have is the NMSQT, which gives you the data on how many merit scholars we have, commended scholars, et cetera. Some of the reasons, I think, for some of the lower numbers there are that we don't have that many students any longer necessarily taking that test. This is linked to the SAT test, and while our students in this area tend to take the ACT for college entrance exam, not so much SAT. I know when I was growing up in Ohio, students more on the East Coast tend to take the SAT test. It's not so much a test that's taken widely here. And it's also expensive. It's not one that's offered to free for our students. And when you look at our free reduced numbers, you can understand why the enrollment in that test has decreased. So, third question, what are we doing about it? Well, one of the programs, one of the main things that we're doing about it is we do offer in the summer, summer school, which assists students with credit recovery or some remediation programs. And our goal, of course, is to be as close to cost neutral as possible. We've worked hard on that, and Mary and I have worked hard on that with our directors of summer school over the past few years. But there are some things that do tend to make that a difficult goal to achieve, particularly when we have a number of these students who are our low-income students who we grant scholarships to, and the grants just don't fully cover their programs, particularly in the area of special ed or some of the Title I program areas. So we're close, but we're not quite even in terms of the budget. I'd also point out that this is the first summer that we had ESY, which is our extended year special ed program, all centralized at East. So that affects some of the data that you see there. And a lot of our special ed costs are only partially reimbursed as well. So, having said all of that, do you have any questions about some of the specific reports that either Don or I can answer for you this evening?
What's the percentage of the students that take the ACT?
100.
100%.
They all have to?
They have to for graduation right now. That may,
Oh, okay, I thought
that may
there
share
would
the
be some that didn't do it.
No. And Illinois is one of the few states where 100% of the students take the ACT test. So when you see us compared nationally against other states, you need to keep that in mind because, for obvious reasons.
Among states where all students take the ACT, Illinois is generally first or second in its ranking against those states.
I don't have a question about the current report here. My question is, as we move away from the ACT, how are we going to integrate that into our EPAS model and understand the progress we're making from the time students come into the building till the time they're ready to leave?
I wish I could give you the definitive answer on that. That's the source of a lot of conversation right now. There are a lot of unanswered questions from the state around the PARC assessment and what will be required, what additional pieces will roll in, how many hours of testing. Ken has asked for Don and I to calculate the numbers of hours that students will be involved in testing second semester. And we'll probably have that information in a day or two to share. It's enormous. So I'm not quite sure whether it'll be something in addition to PARC, or whether it'll be ways we can use PARC, or whether it'll be some other concoction.
We use a retired or an ACT for the first part of the EPAS system. This year, Illinois is going to pay for all students to take the ACT. Again, what we don't know is moving forward, how long that happens. It's conceivable that we could continue with the E-Pass for a while longer. We would have to use the retired explained plan, and there are some issues around that. Regardless, one of the good things about the SB 7, the change in the evaluation law, is that it requires us, principals are already on it, but it requires us, beginning in the 16-17 school year, to have a growth model for teachers. And it gives you 3 types of assessments for which you can determine those things. The nice thing about it is we can align them with our professional learning communities. They could be course assessments, summative assessments in Biology 1, for example. So what we think we'll be able to do, hopefully, and which will make a lot more sense for our district, is to be able to have some authentic district assessments. There are kids that they're developed rigorously by us and administered to our students. So it actually tracks much more closely in terms of aligning what did a teacher do to create learning for a student, as opposed to trying to determine the variance of an ACT test down to the teacher level, which is pretty tough to do.
And I agree, for a teacher evaluation purpose, something like the system that we've been using on an aggregated basis is not it's not a good fit.
Yeah.
But I do think that as a district and as a board, we need to understand overall how the district is doing. And EPAS has helped us with that. With the demise of that, I think, even if it's not available, we really need to understand how we're going to be looking at that. What's new next? System is going to be evaluating. I mean, we obviously will have some assessments that are kind of standard already, but I mean, I think there's going to be a big shift here in how do those assessments stack up against each other? How can they be compared to each other? And, you know, unless you're hiring a team of psychometricians, it's going to be, I think, a challenge.
Well, so
One good thing is that PARC is going to be from our elementary districts up to the high school. So, and it's standards-based. So the extent to which there's good information that comes out on how kids are doing on a set of standards, and our curriculum is tied to our standards, which we are working mightily on these days, then we may be able to look at it from that perspective. Give information on how kids are doing against the standards in a continuum.
Under the current model, the elementary assessment is called the ISAT. It isn't linked in any way at all to the Prairie State assessment. So we've never had the ability, as many states do, to incorporate that elementary data where they're tested across multiple points and use that with any validity for our high school students. That's one possibility among many. But as Barb said, we have some unanswered questions around that.
I think there's a gap there too between kids. You've got kids that are currently in high school who have not done those kinds of assessments before they've come here, so the transition period will be, I can see a little rocky.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you very much. Are there any other questions? That's all you have on board. Thank you very much. Next item is item 6, monthly update on FOIA request. Ken?
We have one this month and it has been processed.
Thank you. We have policies and procedures. First reading. Right.
Yes, we have 4 job descriptions that are due for some revisions, mainly due to changes in position responsibilities in response to new laws, changes in our administrative makeup with the addition of our new assistant principals for teaching and learning, the FOIA law, and our focus on residency. And so you can see with 2310 that Mr. Beery's job responsibilities have changed dramatically since he started here. And so this job description change just reflects the added responsibilities that he's taken on during his tenure. And then the 3 assistant principals are being lumped together because with the new assistant principal for teaching and learning, some of the responsibilities that job will be performing were from the other assistant principals, and so we needed to make changes to all 3 to bring those up to speed with current practice. So this is for a first reading. I'd be happy to entertain any questions. If there are some major concerns, I'd be happy to get the policy committee back together to review those as a committee. But if anybody has any questions, you can either email them to me or we can discuss them right now.
And the policy committee met, to discuss these, or?
The policy committee did not meet to discuss these. I talked to Carla about these because these were minor changes to their job responsibilities that I didn't know if the policy committee needed to discuss those, mainly because they rely on us to tell them what those changes to their job responsibilities are anyway.
You did send them to us.
Yes.
Okay. Forgot about
All right. Are there any questions or comments about the policies tonight? If anyone has any, please forward them to Greg and Sarah. Thanks much. Next item is the consent agenda. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Mary? Are there any questions or comments on items on the consent agenda? Hearing none, if you take the roll, please.
Owen? Aye. Morales? Childers? Aye. Bessler? McGrath?
Aye. Let's see. Item 9 is Board of Education's Policies and Procedures, second reading. This is policy 2306, Coordinator of Blended Learning and Intervention Analytics. Greg?
I'm going to defer this one to either Ken or Barb since they worked on this specifically.
This is the new position that we spoke about last month that really is going to help drive our online learning footprint moving forward. We're asking for a waiver of first reading tonight so that we can go ahead and advertise this position. Previously, the Ed Committee, which met earlier tonight, has done some work on our board policy to help us become a little bit more nimble in our ability to provide online learning. And I think as we think about the pieces of what we want to do to serve families moving forward, we see this position as really, really integral in helping catalyze us and move us forward in the future in online learning. The intervention analytics piece is really related to things like our response to intervention, where we lost our coordinator this year, and this person will already, will hopefully fill in some of the analysis of data behind the buildings for that.
So we're not replacing the person that we lost, but this person will be picking up some of those tasks.
Some of that duty. We aren't replacing that person now, and we're having discussions about what it might look like in the building. The good thing is that West in particular, and now at East, I think, and even South is kind of coming along, where the response to intervention system is becoming better articulated, which at the end of the day is kind of got to be some of the building folks anyway. So we probably will have some consideration about perhaps not fully ever, we have to provide response to intervention. We have to provide the network. What we may not have to do is hire someone back full-time at the district level equal to what we lost. So there is the potential for that.
So this is not an add to staff, at least at this point in time.
At least at this point in time, no.
The last time we had someone in this position was well over 10 years ago, maybe 15.
Well, actually, we've never had someone in this position.
No, not in the new one. I'm talking about the one that is replacing the planning and special projects coordinator.
Yeah, we took an existing policy and replaced it with this
We're
position.
running out of policy numbers.
And this is not one we're going to fill anyway.
Okay, this is, we're waiving first reading. Is there any questions, comments, Carla? Have you?
I looked at it, talked briefly with
Any other questions? Right, hearing none?
Should we motion? Are you
We didn't have a motion? Oh,
I'm sorry. I will move that we adopt this. Don't we have to vote on waiving the read first?
Yeah, it's in the recommendation.
It's in the recommendation. We waived the first reading and approved. So Carla?
Yeah, I'll move it.
Is there a second? Now we can have a vote. Thank you, Mary.
Childers. Morales. Owen.
Aye.
Bessler. McGrath.
Aye.
And now we're voting on
That
Are
Was
you,
it, because it was,
It was in the motion. Waive the first reading and
And
approve.
approve to adopt.
Okay. Recommendation was drafted. The next item is approval of the 2013-14 audit. We had a recommendation from the finance committee to approve this. Mary, was that correct?
yes,
That is correct.
if it comes out of committee, then you still need a second. If you don't want to, I'll make a motion then.
Mary, oh, thank you. Any questions or comments on the audit? Hearing none, you can take the roll.
Bessler. Childers.
Aye.
Morales.
Aye.
Owen.
Aye.
McGrath.
Aye. So the next up is use of facilities. There are 3 of them. Would you like to take them as a group, or are there some that we'd like to have any discussion on? The only one that's different is the CAF one. The other 2 are waivers that we've given, reduced rentals that we've given in exchange for some tuition scholarships for students in need that we've given to academic tutoring centers for the last several years.
If you are comfortable, I would make a motion to approve.
Okay? Any question or discussion?
This, McGrath, who's in office?
It's an office, and I can speak to that, but the CAF is the foundation that was begun probably 11, 12 years ago in Maine Township, spurred on by the superintendent at that time and the Board of Education. They've lost their large grant, so we, in order to sort of keep the good work going that they're doing, we, for the time being, need to house them. I think the deal is that if they should receive sufficient grant funding moving forward, then they would either pay rent or move out and find a place to pay rent. So this is an attempt to continue the work that the CAF has done.
And that, their, the office is here?
It's actually down in the main hallway south out toward the north lot.
Considering the work that they're doing with our students and
Yes.
stuff, I think it's appropriate to have them in the building.
It is.
All right, any other questions or comments? Hearing none, Jenny, if you call the roll, please.
Morales. Bessler. Childers. Owen. McGrath.
Aye. Next item on the list is item 12, approval of bids and awarding of contracts, CAF builders. Can I have a motion, please? Michael, second? Second. Thank you. Questions or comments? Have we talked about this?
We talked about it at the Buildings and Grounds Committee on the 25th.
Yeah.
Could we get a little summary? Sure. The work is the remodeling of the administration and ARC Center from the building from TMA that we purchased. We had 17 bids on the project. The lowest bid was about $254,000 higher than the approved budget. We asked ARCAN to go back and look, and they gave us a list of scope that was not included in the budget that was in the bid spec. Rooftop units, additional data drops, there's a whole list. We then went through and did some value engineering, so included in the motion this evening is not only the awarding of the base bid contract, but then $92,500 of deduct change orders that were awarded as part of the contract. So that
Explain that a little.
so what happens is we identified $92,000 worth of work that we could give back, data drops. We never had in the budget the entire building because some of the offices were just fine. So, but the bid spec had seen it, so we removed that. Some additional,
The PA system.
right, there is an intercom system, that's something that ARC doesn't currently have. So based on how far over we are, we removed that. We removed some
How will you communicate then?
telephones. That's how they communicate right now, is two-way radios and telephones in the
An
classroom.
intercom is a voice throughout, that no one has to have something they listen to.
Correct.
So there will be no.
There will be no central intercom system, similar to how there is no central intercom system at our current one.
It was an item I think that the thought was because ARCON was just over budget, that what are some things that we absolutely
We believe in a year or two that when we go to full-blown voice over IP, your phone can work very similar to what a central communication, what an intercom system would do. So your phone will act as a speaker for your room. So we're looking at integrating it at that time, which will be virtually no cost.
And our policy is to allow phones to be on in the classrooms?
This is the telephone that hangs on the wall.
It's
So,
it's a
yeah.
classroom phone.
It's required,
And so that phone on the wall has a speaker on it?
right.
And we do allow, we don't have a cell phone ban anymore in
Just
class.
Yeah, no, and it's our phone, so
Yeah.
we, you know, in case of an emergency, there are phones in the classrooms, and I think in our current classrooms
Yeah,
as
every
well.
classroom, yeah.
Has it for,
So you're instituting an intercom system through the phones that are in the classroom?
correct.
Oh, that's good.
Okay.
That's a good way to say it, yes.
So Mary, these items that are on here are things that you can do without, they're not.
You can do without.
I was a board member president of a committee meeting of which I'm not a member, so I didn't say anything at the time. I'm distressed that we found $100,000 that we could live without because they're over budget. And I'd like to know if they've been approached on working with this $161,850 of reducing their charge to us.
We are meeting with Arcon tomorrow to discuss our sentiments on this project. I will point out that this is the first time, it's my understanding, because I've only worked with Arcon here for 5 years, but in the 15 years that the district has had Arcon, this is the first time that they've had this type of variance in a project.
And we worked with them for 10 years, I think, you
Probably
said?
15.
Probably 15 years. But you're asking for a motion for us to vote for this tonight, so.
In order for construction to begin, we have to award a construction contract.
And I did have a conversation with the superintendent. They indicated that they will be reducing this amount.
We're having a conversation with them tomorrow.
Okay?
So, I think that's a contracting issue with Arcon. It is not a contracting issue with the actual bidder on this. So that's different contract, I think we should be fixing the two up here, so.
We did begin, the abatement began last Monday, so we're on schedule still with the intent to get the school program in there by the start of second semester.
Abatement of what?
Asbestos.
Which we awarded at the last board meeting, the contract for that.
Okay, are there any other questions or comments about the Cap Builders contract? Hearing none, Jenny, can take the roll.
Bessler. Owen. Morales. Childers. McGrath.
Aye. Okay, calendar items. Do we have any committees that are going to make additions to the calendar?
I'll be contacting members of the policy committee if there are changes to some policies that need to be revised. But I will definitely be contacting the employee relations committee to set up our next meeting on the appraisal point system.
Okay, but no meeting set now and nothing set for building and ground or finance either. Okay.
Finance will meet in October.
Right?
Yes.
I think these coffees are a wonderful idea that you suggested, Margaret, and we've had 2 out of the 3, and certainly not all teachers can come at any time, but there was nice representation, and I would hope it could be scheduled again.
Hope to have several a year in
Great.
schools.
Maybe do it later in the day as well, if possible.
At different times.
Yeah, I think that gets a little challenging for,
Well, everyone doesn't have to go at the same time.
this is true.
You know, I mean, you could have a day where you do it in the morning and afternoon.
The other thing too, and we could, for individual board members or groups of board members, we could have lunchtime available. I mean, there are things that, working with principals, we could do that. We've always, worked hard to try to get board members in.
Are is there any, of the board members, attending the North Cook Fall Dinner Meeting or the AAAI, joint annual conference? They should probably let Ginny know if people are interested in
Yes.
attending those
Yes.
two events.
I'm gonna be down for the IASB.
The North Cook?
Yeah, okay. No, I mean, no. I'm sure it was no, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we have until next week, I was gonna do a group.
Oh, okay,
Order.
great response.
Okay. Are there any public comment cards? Dave Beckett? No? Okay. Can I have a motion to go into closed session for the purpose of reviewing closed session minutes?
So moved.
Second. Jenny?
Childers. Aye. Fessler. Morales. Bowen.
Aye.
McGrath.
Aye. All right, thank you very much.